Today, I'm going to be sharing 28 things that you had no idea about living here in the Dominican Republic. Well, maybe you did, but let's go with it for a second. These are answers to 28 of your questions. I'm doing an Ask Me Anything video, and I broke it down into a few different categories. The questions will be grouped by life in the Dominican Republic, income and finances, car shipping or shipping a car, real estate investing, schools, and then some miscellaneous topics I threw in there as well from all of you. Let's start with life in DR. First question I got was from MK Cruz 7. What's the biggest difference you notice in the States versus DR lately? I think there's three things. I go back to the US quite a bit, and this is what I see. First is connection between people. I don't see the same stop by, yes, let's hang out, we don't need to schedule it sort of thing happening in the States like it does here in the Dominican Republic. There are constantly people at my house, and I'm constantly at people's houses, and it's all impromptu. It never is, not never, but it's not often planned. It just kind of happens, or then it gets extended to a different park because we were hanging out here, now we're gonna hang out there. So people connection is a big piece that I see that's different. The second, and this is the biggest one in my opinion, is political division. Back in 2016, I remember when Trump was elected over Hillary Clinton, and I went out to dinner with a friend of mine. She was a massive Hillary supporter, and despite what people think, I consider myself to be like Stephen A. Smith that says, I'm a pursuer of truth. I like some things that Trump does, I don't like some things that Trump does. I like some things that Democrats do, I don't like some things that Democrats do. But all I said to him was, man, I get why Trump was elected. And he lost his goddamn mind. I was in this dude's wedding. All right, we were buddies, we were good friends, and we had conversation after conversation where all he wanted me to do or what he needed from me was say, you're right, he's a racist, terrible human being, and I can't believe I even said the word understand and Trump in the same sentence. The last call we had, he said to me, man, I get it. I've learned this, that anybody who doesn't disavow Trump is either a terrible person or doesn't know what's going on. And so you're busy, man. He says this to me. I get why maybe you don't get what's going on. I'm like, so my options from you are I'm either ignorant or terrible. I don't think we ever need to talk again. So that was the end of that relationship. Not because of Trump or Hillary on my side. I was actually enjoying the discussion. I like having debate. I enjoy it. But if my options are that I'm either terrible or ignorant, like that's not a person I need in my life. That's US politics right now. Here, there is rabid debate between people. In fact, I'm with my guy, Saul, right here. There he is. He is the videographer going out to do something with me in Jarabacoa. And I said to him earlier, I'm like, no, yeah, man, people don't talk out anymore over politics. He's like, really? Like family members don't engage with each other. He's like, that's crazy. And we talked about it. Yes, there's passionate discourse about whatever the topic at hand may be. Is Abinader doing a good job? Is he not? Oh, that's terrible. Oh my God, you don't know what you're talking about. Da, 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 da. And then have a beer. I'm not like polishing a turd here, right? I'm not trying to say like, oh, this place is so perfect. There's plenty of problems here in DR. But one of them that's not is the idea that politics is personal. I don't even know why I'm saying it to somebody right now who's looking at me and saying, yeah, but because you just cannot understand it until you move out of the country. It's like being a parent. Try explaining to a person without kids what it's like to have kids. Intellectually, they get it, but only when they have the kid, they get it. When you leave the country, not for a month, not if you grew up here for 10 years and moved up there and you've been there your whole life, when you literally, as an adult, move out of the country, then you'll see it. The third thing is, I call it grime. Not crime, but grime. Cities I go to in the US, when I go to stores, CVS, Walgreens, there's like a grittiness that I don't remember feeling when I was in the US. Everything felt so organized and clean. Doesn't feel that way in the developed parts of cities in the US anymore when I go there. I was just in Sacramento. I was before that in Dallas. Great cities, they're beautiful, but there's just a griminess to cities right now. I don't feel that here. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm airy-fairy about DR, but that's my take. It's Marilyn Yvette asks, headed to set up my new DR home office. What is your setup? Where do you buy tech? Well, my home office is like a podcast studio. So I have cameras, I have microphones, I've got a bunch of equipment, I've got a desk, all of that. If you're looking for electronics, like anything you want to buy, you can go to different stores around Punta Cana. There's some in the mall and everything, but there's a site or an Instagram account you can go to in Santo Domingo. It's called Enfoque Digital. So ENFOQUEDIGITAL. You can get whatever equipment you want there. I haven't bought from them yet, but I know he has and some other friends. So that's the spot I would recommend, or that I would go if I needed to upgrade my equipment. Queen Jessica, New York City. It's nice to meet you, Your Majesty. She asks, what essential services do you believe are lacking in DR that we currently enjoy in the US? This is a good question. Essential, I'm hung up on that word. There is a robust medical system here. There is a good highway system. Check it out. Look at that. That's the highway going between Punta Cana and Santo Domingo. It is well done. There aren't potholes. It's like I forget sometimes that I'm not in the United States when I'm on this highway. Private schools are incredible. Essential services. Here's where my mind goes. Potable or potable water. I don't know why it's called that. Somebody explain potable, drinking water that you can get from the tap. That would be an essential service. So like the water around the country, we all drink bottled water here. So getting water cleaned up, that would be an essential service. But we have water, so call it what it is. Stable electricity everywhere. Punta Cana and Santo Domingo in other parts of the country, like they're stable electric. But when you get into other parts of the country, in the middle of the country or smaller towns, the electricity can go in and out, there's overuse of it, so on and so forth. So getting stable electric countrywide, I think is another essential to get the country to the next level. The other one I would say is like police corruption. My take on this is pay the police well and give them a hell of a pension. Number one, you're gonna recruit the top talent in the country. Everybody's gonna want that job and you get to pick and choose the best. But two, there's a lot of risk then for somebody to try to shake me down on the highway. If I happen to call in a report and they're fired, they lose their pension, they lose a good income. So really, like, investing in the police, I think would be another huge one. All right, I asked him, he said the other one would be infrastructure, and he's right. There's great infrastructure where I am right now, but there are areas that need improved infrastructure, trash mitigation, those sorts of things. So, look, improvement in trash, improvement in infrastructure, drinkable water, stable electric everywhere, not just in the most developed areas, the police, don't get me wrong, like those are all areas of improvement, but like as far as day-to-day living, essential, like it's not much missing, to be honest with you. All of those things are musts to continue to develop the country, but there's not much missing day-to-day. You go to Santiago, there are some top-notch hospitals and doctors. Santo Domingo, the same. Punta Cana could use a better medical center, but beyond that, not much. Adam Tiziz says, what are some of your favorite communities to live as a Canadian in Punta Cana? As a Canadian, nowhere. Like if you're an American, there's plenty of them. I don't get the Canada thing, to be honest with you. Do you? What did you say about Canada earlier in the United States?
They should be partner, no?
He's a Trumper, everyone. He's saying they should be the same. 51st state. But honestly, like Canadian, American, other than an accent, there's literally zero difference outside of North America. Nobody knows the difference between us. So my answer would be the best communities to live in, period, start with Punta Cana Village. From a family perspective, it is the top community. It's where I live. Yes, I'm biased, but it's got the most amenities. It's got the best structure. It's got the best walkable things to go to. It's got the best family environment. I challenge anybody to challenge me on that. After that, I would say Cocotal is next. Then I would get into probably like Vista Cana, Ciudad Las Canas outside of Cap Cana. Those are probably your premier neighborhoods. If you're single or a young couple or a couple without kids, I'm all about Corrales, Cortecito. Tons of fun up there. If you're looking for more of a budget, there's places like White Sands and Ciudad La Palma. Although La Palma starting to come up, like that's starting to develop into like a mini Punta Cana village. So might be good to get in now and watch that ride go because it's not far from the village, but it's got a similar feel and it's owned by the guy that owns Punta Cana Village. Grupo Punta Cana runs Punta Cana Village, Punta Cana Resort. The owner of it, Frank Ranieri, owns Ciudad La Palma. It's not part of Grupo Punta Cana, so you don't get beach access, but the owner's stamp is on it. Flo, I guess, says, do you go to Santiago at all? You know what, I'll run some B-roll showing me there recently. Yes, I have been to Santiago. I think this question, for those that follow me, is around like, why don't you ever talk about it as a spot to go? Santiago is a beautiful city. It's got, as I said, great medical facilities. It is extremely clean. It is well organized. It is well done, no doubt. And I would live there probably last out of every town in the Dominican Republic. Not because it's not nice. Here's my thoughts on Santiago. Great city, but have you ever been somewhere, maybe you're visiting a friend and they're like, man, look at my town, it's amazing, yada, yada, yada. And you're like, I get it. It's beautiful. I see why you live here. Something about it just doesn't jive with me. Maybe it's landlocked. Maybe it's the climate, the atmosphere, the elevation. Maybe it's just the feel and the look. It feels very like white to me, like just white buildings to me. Something about Santiago just doesn't hit me. I don't know. It's not a bad place, but for Santiago people, oy, You know, it's good. I'll get a million comments down below and that'll increase the engagement on my video. So by the way, a like goes a really long way. It's just a quick tap. Like the video. If you're able to comment, great. A subscribe means a lot. Trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. I appreciate you following along. All right, last question in the Life in DR section goes to Esthi Christie. Just turned 30, planning on leaving to Punta Cana now. People say wait till I'm 40. What's your advice for a single mother with an almost teen moving to Punta Cana alone? Well, first off, I don't believe in waiting to live. So if your life is, hey, I want to be there, then go there. 30, 40, what's the difference? Don't listen to people who are going to hold you back from your dream. That's my input on that. I did that for far too long as a 21-year corporate exec. Honestly, should have left 4 years in. Probably never should have started, but for another day. As far as being a single mother with a teen living here in Punta Cana, I would say, or there, I'm almost to Santo Domingo, I would say pay a little more to be in the right neighborhood to feel the safest and most at ease as you possibly can. I mentioned a bunch of them before. Vista Cana, Punta Cana Village, Cocotal, depending on your budget. Vista Cana to me would be a great option because the price is still pretty good, it's very secure, and there's tremendous upside there, in my opinion. But I would say do it if you and your teen child are all about it. There's no way for me to sell anybody on the safety, especially in Punta Cana, until you experience it. All right, we're gonna get into some questions regarding income, finances, and kind of in that vein. So the first one comes from Exo Chrissy at 82. Exo, back to ya, Chrissy. Don't tell my wife. I'm an American looking to move to DR. Where is a good place to look for employment? The best place for you as an American to look for employment, to live in the Dominican Republic, is in the United States. You can get jobs down here like in real estate or selling travel packages at a resort. You're gonna grind your freaking face off for the money. I see well-to-do Dominicans that work in the resorts, they never see their kids. They send a driver to pick them up and drop them off from school. They even come to our house after school sometimes while the parent is finishing up at 7, 8 o'clock at night to come pick them up. I wouldn't recommend the high-paying jobs here unless you own a business. And the only way to own a business down here, in my opinion, is to be here first to figure out the business. But remote work or a business in the United States you can create in order to do it remotely, or that where you can do it remotely and not have to be in one place, that's the way to go. And don't be too literal here. Remote could simply mean I'm able to spend, 8 out of 12 weeks a quarter in DR, and then I got to travel once a month or so to come back to do my work. That's an option. Like, I know somebody that's like an anesthesiologist that goes back once a month for a week to do all their stuff and then comes back to DR. But so they're like, well, I live here 3 weeks a month. I go back 1 week a month. I know a businesswoman who does the same with New York City. She goes back 1 week a month, every month. That's the life. But they prefer to have their kids and their family in DR and earn their money over there. The best place to look is in the United States. Check out sites like LinkedIn Jobs, like Flex Jobs, other sites like that. That's what I would recommend. King of Comfort 711 says, bro, that's me. You or anyone you know, how can I make money online? Well, King of Comfort, you're going to have to get uncomfortable, my friend. To make money online, to me, would be a couple of things that you need to do. First is get educated. There are great websites like Udemy, udemy.com. I'll put it up right here for you to see it. Go there, figure out what it is you want to do online, whether it's selling product or creating something, and go ahead and buy a course on how to do it. Another option is to go to sites like Fiverr or Upwork, and if you have some skill or service that you can provide on a job-by-job basis, maybe it's copywriting, maybe it's voiceover work, whatever, go to those sites and offer your services and figure out how to rank on them so that you get hired a whole bunch. Or build a business, digital marketing, Amazon FBA, something like that. Like, there's so many ways. Go to Udemy, search courses, find the way. The other way is get into a sales role or an engineering role. Learn new skills. Maybe you have to go get a degree. I didn't move the moment I decided I wanted to move abroad. In 2018, I told my family that my objective is to travel 3+ months with my family anywhere in the world. That was 2018. I was very much into my job at the time. I didn't quit my job till 2021. I didn't move till 2022. So people that are looking for like the switch, oh, okay, I'm doing this. I want to move to DR tomorrow, so I want to just switch over. Can happen. Go get a job that does that, or find the job, or talk to your boss. But it's going to take work. Is it worth it to you? I can't decide. Only you can. JCaz718 says, do you pay taxes in the US and DR? No. I pay taxes in the US. I may soon pay taxes in DR, depending on a few different factors. Let me dive into this a little bit. If you're a US citizen, it doesn't matter where you live, how you're making your money, you need to file a tax return every single year. That's the law. US is one of 2 countries that requires that. If you're living abroad for over 335 days, not in the United States, essentially, for almost an entire year, you can be in the United States for 30 days in a rolling 365. So from June to June, August to August, December to December, you got to be out of the country 335 days. If that's the case and you pay any tax in another country, you can apply for what's called the FEIE, the Foreign Earned Income Exemption. What this does is it exempts you from all US taxes up to the first 120, 130,000 for an individual, up to about 250,000 for a family or for a household. So no taxes need to be paid on $250,000 for a family or $120,000 for an individual if you meet the FEIE requirements. Let me just give you the example. Let's say you move to DR making $120,000 a year and you don't go back to the US. You never do. You travel to Colombia, you travel to Europe, you travel to Canada, but you don't come back to the United States. Or if you do, it's for a week, 2, 3 weeks, no more than 30 days. And you've got something in DR where you're paying taxes. It might be $1, it might be $100. The amount doesn't matter for this, from my understanding. Talk to a CPA before you do anything. But the amount doesn't matter. As long as you can show that you're paying any amount of tax and you're not in the US, the FEIE would allow you to waive all of your taxes on that $120,000. Now, beyond that, if you make more than what the FEIE allows you to waive, there's something called the FTC. This is the foreign tax credit. Essentially, now, for every dollar above that 120, you show the US government, hey, I paid $100 in taxes, then they reduce, to the Dominican Republic that is, then they reduce your tax burden to the United States by the same amount, by $100. So it's a dollar for dollar reduction in tax burden in the US for every dollar you spend in taxes abroad. Now back to me. Taxes for me will come once I have my property in Cortecito, this 1-bedroom apartment, up and running as an Airbnb. But it gets interesting. So I'm structuring my Airbnb, my property, under a Dominican LLC. It's called an SRL. Oh boy, Sociedad Responsabilidad Limitada. Did I do that right?
Yeah.
I nailed it. An SRL is an LLC. Just think of it as the exact same thing. It has very similar language, very similar feel to it. In that SRL, I can do a lot of things. I can pay my wife a salary. She's Dominican, of say a few $100s under the income tax threshold here in the country to exempt that income from being taxed in the SRL. Otherwise, all income is taxed at 27% inside that SRL. But if I make $5,000 a month and I pay my wife a little bit, and then as I go out and I do things like go to dinner or make content that promotes my property, I could take the taxes through something called comprobante fiscal. I could take the taxes and write that off against my business. If I'm using a car, I can use the car as a write-off against the business. I could do a lot of things to write down the income on the SRL with expenses that are reasonably appropriate for the business. Cell phone, car, cleaning, all that stuff. So I could limit my tax burden to 0. However, I will need to pay a 1% asset tax annually for the assets in my SRL. So I'm paying $170,000 for this property in Cortecito, which means it's not Confitor. Confitor would exempt me from taxes, but I'm gonna pay $1,700 a year in 2 payments throughout the year, so half and half throughout the year. $1,700 unless I pay $1,701 in income tax. If I do, then I don't pay the asset tax. You pay one or the other, whichever is higher. There's a lot there. Stay tuned for my real estate attorney coming on and going much more deep into this. Take notes on that episode of Grub with Gruber. It's coming soon. But to wrap this up, if you're a US citizen living in DR and you have a US income, you pay your US taxes, just like anything else. Nothing else to think about, nothing else to do. You're good. DR is going to collect their 18% ITBIS on everything that you spend money on. So don't worry, you'll be contributing tax revenue to the local economy, I promise. Photoscape 360 says, is your stateside credit score used in DR or they do their own credit rating? I don't know that they have a credit rating. Do you have a credit rating system here? Like a score for your credit?
No, I think no.
No. And I've talked to people, I don't have a mortgage yet down here. I hope I never do. But I've talked to people who have gotten mortgages that are US citizens, and they don't look at it. They'll look at your tax return in the US. They'll look at income statements in the US, pay stubs, letters from your employer, a whole bunch of stuff, but they don't necessarily look at your credit score. If they do, boy, that bank might be a little more sophisticated. But generally speaking, I think I'm on good authority to say this. Anybody that knows different, please let me know below. Credit rating in the US doesn't really impact anything down here. Esther Christie is back with a question. Hoping to move from USA and become a realtor in Punta Cana. Any advice? Yeah, have a lot of money saved up before you do that. Realtors down here can make a lot of money. A lot of money. But they've got to be really, really good. Good at marketing, good at service, reputable. They know the ins and outs of the market. They spend their life in the market. They work their asses off. I've seen so many people come down here to be realtors. Then they part-time it and they start something else and they kind of do a little real estate. Then they eventually get out of it altogether. They become fitness influencers or whatever it might be. And that's great. If you find your path, that's amazing. But if real estate is the game, make sure you've got a good amount of savings or some sort of form of income to support you while you build that business, because to build relationships here is everything. Give you an example. I recently was asked to be a brand sponsor for a business, but I can't do that unless I go physically meet the people in person per them. That's how business is done down here. That's why when people ask me from abroad, what's a good business to start down there? I'm like, you got to be here and meet people. I can't answer that question for you. This is a face-to-face society. That's the answer. So if you're going to move down here to be a realtor, make sure you've got income or money to support you for a year plus while you get your feet off the ground. Or I don't know if you'd be levitating. While you get off the ground, I don't know. Coming into Santo Domingo here. We're on our way to Jarabacoa. We're going to be recording a Grub with Gruber episode at a place called The Domes. Again, stay tuned for that. All right, a lot of questions about shipping a car. I picked two. I'm going to give you those right now. Brandy Marie Vasquez asks, did you ship your car yet, or did I miss that announcement, and is it worth it? It's funny. As I record this and as I drive through this city, my car just arrived by boat to here in Santo Domingo. As soon as it clears customs, the dealership that we used gets it out of customs, I'll let you know if it was worth it. So far, it's actually been pretty easy. It hasn't been a problem. You know, there's been a couple of hiccups. My wife would probably say, she'd give me the non-easy version, but other than some headache phone calls, there hasn't been anything catastrophic, knock on wood. But we'll see what happens if it clears customs. I'm able to pick it up maybe tomorrow on my way back through as we leave Jarabacoa. Without him. Dios mío, these people just walk across the street. Now look at this lady. I don't know if you saw her, but there's another one. He's just running across the highway.
Yes.
I mean, you see it. I come here 2-3 times a month and I see it every time, but for some reason it still shocks the hell. It's like jarring to see a human being that close, just like, this is a good time.
Yes.
This is the right time to go, right? Yeah, let's just run. Crazy. See. Yeah, aquí.
Yes.
As soon as this guy moves out of the way. We're trying to get off the exit here, but this little guy right here is kind of in the way. And we're going to keep rolling. So anyway, shipping the car, I'll let you know if it's worth it, but so far, so good. Adam Tizizizis is back with, is it safe to ship and drive an expensive car to Punta Cana, and how much does it cost? Well, how much does it cost? I'll share once I get the final bill for everything. I think I have an idea, but I don't want to put it out there until we have the actual final. And it really depends. Like my car is a 2020 or 2021 Honda CR-V, right? So that's different than, you mentioned an expensive car, shipping a 2024 G-Wagon. The price will be higher to ship it, not the shipping per se, but like to get it in country if it's a higher value vehicle. So you got to know the numbers. And once I get through this, if they've done a great job, the dealership and all that stuff, that's bringing it in. It's our car. It's been sitting in the US for the last 3 years. So we're finally bringing it down. So we're using a dealer to do it. Thanks to my boy, Jay abroad. He hooked me up with one. But if it goes well, I'll let you know the dealer. Maybe I'll work out a deal with them so that I can refer to them. I like doing deals. But as far as expensive cars, man, my neighborhood, a lot of Punta Cana, you'll see it rolling around. There's G-Wagons, there's Teslas, there's Cybertrucks now. Have you seen these Cybertrucks?
Yeah.
You know how much they go for here, Cybertrucks?
How much does it cost?
Yeah.
140,000 more?
Yeah, it's close to two.
Yeah?
$200,000. Yeah, there's a couple Cybertrucks rolling around. Like, I mean, around the country, you see Cadillacs, you see, I don't know, you tell me, you've lived here your whole life. I feel like coming here 15 years ago, a Mercedes driving through here right now would be scary because you'd be marked as like money and somebody's going to come after you. Whereas today, a Mercedes it's a Mercedes. They're all over the place. What do you think? It's just a Mercedes. It's no big deal.
Exactly. Yeah. In Punta Cana, we feel, that is safe, but there is some place here in Santo Domingo.
Oh, sure. Some neighborhoods.
But now it's a lot of luxury car that you don't feel that. I think it's you can see a lot of luxury car everywhere. So you
100%.
yeah.
I feel the same way. I don't think that the expensive car thing is a concern whatsoever. All right, we're gonna talk about real estate investing with the next few questions. Do you have an idea of estimated construction costs per square foot in Punta Cana or Terrenas, excluding lot price? Sorry, that was from Demo Vicente. Not per square foot, but per square meter. And the way I've learned, the easiest way to per square meter is think about square foot and then just divide by 10. So if you have a 3,000 square foot home, that's a 300 square meter home, just so you have the conversion. So per square meter, depends on where you are, but I would say if you're somewhere between 1,000 US and 1,500 US per square meter, you're in the ballpark. Could be a little more, probably not gonna be much less, but 1,000 to 1,500. So that means if you got it at 1,000 and you're building a 300 square meter home, which is 3,000 square feet, that would cost you about 300,000 to build it. That doesn't include the land, that doesn't include hookups and all that stuff, but the cost of construction at 1,000 a square meter would be about $300,000 for a 3,000 square foot home or 300 square meter home. If it's 1,500, what would that be? About 450,000? 450,000 US for a 300 square meter or 3,000 square foot home. But that's generally the cost. Again, you can go higher or lower depending on your finishes. I shouldn't say lower, higher. Probably not much lower. It depends on where you're going to be. But this was actually specifically asked about Punta Cana, Las Terrenas, those areas. I would say that's the right range. Lepin with an underscore asks, my husband and I would like to buy a property in DR. Any advice as to where to start? Yes, get a great real estate agent. I've done a ton of content on this. The agent is the key. A great real estate agent opens up everything for you. And look, I'm seeing more and more agents that just don't do things the right way. So I'm gonna say it right now, all of you that wanna buy, you need to click the link below to get a referral from me for a real estate agent, because I swear to you, I'm vetting these people. Yes, they'll pay me. There's a couple people out there, he's pushing his thing to get paid. Screw you, I deserve to get paid for my time and energy. I love saying screw you to trolls. I know I have people say like, don't let them bother you. They don't bother me, but like the New Yorker in me just won't let it go. Screw you, Nah. But anyway, click the link below, get a realtor. That's the best way to start. You need money for a toll? Is it 100 or 200? We're rolling up on a toll booth. What is it? Oh, it's 100 pesos. So we're good to go. Toll booth there.
¿Cuándo abrieron acá? Ya. No. A ver, gracias. 3 weeks.
Oh, that has been here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brand new toll booth. Been here 3 weeks. That's funny. I was gonna say, I don't remember this last time. I was here 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I think I remember the structure now that I think about it, but it wasn't opened yet. Anyway, Bella Zucena, I don't know how to say that. Which towns in DR would you recommend for vacation home investment that I can Airbnb? I mean, Punta Cana is great if you buy in the right spots. I would say Cortocito, Corrales are the right spots for Airbnb in the Punta Cana area. Abra Cortocito, Corrales. I'm a big believer in what's going on up in Puerto Plata, Cabarete. I love Las Terrenas. I think that's an area that you should keep your eye on. If you're looking to get money out of it now, like invest and get Airbnb clients now, definitely. The one to keep an eye on, there's a few. The one that I say to keep an eye on right now is Miches. Miches is going to have a big future. And I think if you can get land there or get in on some projects there or whatever, do your vetting, make sure you hire an attorney, all that stuff. I think Miches, if you don't need it now and you're looking down the road, oof. Trust me, trust El Gringo. You'll see. One day, he likes that, right? Trust El Gringo.
Yes, I like it.
One day, Miches, you'll be saying, man, that bald freaking high energy spaz was right. Steve-O says, what's the resale market like compared to new project sales real estate? So pre-construction versus resale. Pre-construction is way hotter. Resale is more exclusive to a few different areas. So resale in Cocotal is good. Resale in Punta Cana Village, really good. Maybe in the resort, Punta Cana Resort, maybe. Maybe in Las Canas, Sierra Las Canas, maybe in Sierra La Palma. But in places like Vista Cana, in places like, well, Cortocito, there might be some resale opportunity there, but it's really specific. If the idea is, oh, I bought this condo in downtown and, in a year or two, I might sell it. Don't buy it with the idea of selling it in a year or two. There is way too much being built, and it's way harder to buy something resale than it is pre-construction. The ability to buy pre-construction the simplicity, the way to finance it makes it a much more attractive buy, and it means more and more projects open up. You have to be discerning. You have to know the right projects and the wrong projects to invest in. But I would say resale is good if you're buying in areas that are highly desirable, and I mentioned them already. Jessica M. Blake says, what do you think of Macau? Good to invest. Yeah, I'm a fan of Macau. I mentioned Miches a little bit ago. For those not familiar, we'll show it here. Punta Cana is down on the southeast corner of the country. Miches is kind of up and around on like the northern shore south of the Samana Peninsula. In between that is Macau. So on the path of progress between Punta Cana and Miches, Macau is going to get it. And there's already development there, and it's actually pretty well priced. In fact, one of my realtors has an inn with a pretty good development there. If you mention Macau in the realtor referral form below, we'll make sure we get you over to her. But Macau's got potential. For me right now, Miches has some infrastructure there. Punta Cana obviously is very well developed. Macau is still further away. It's far away from everything right now. It's not easy to do things. Miches will get things, airport, grocery store, golf course, which I hate, but whatever. All of that stuff will go to Miches. Macau is like, things will go there, but it's gonna take longer for there to be like amenities nearby. And to me, that's important. Sabrina G, the Teenage Witch. Is the real one? Is that really you? Huh? She asked, do you have any recommendations for a good lawyer in RD, in Dominican Republic? The answer is yes. Look at this guy, zip by us on his bike. I have 2 lawyers that I've worked with, one on the immigration side, one on the real estate side. The real estate guy, he's continuing to more and more to impress me. There's a link down below to get access to him. Really smart, great English if that's a worry for you. He's in Santo Domingo and Punta Cana. He goes between the two, and he's the guy setting up everything for me right now with my property in Cortocito. He's a very good advisor. He's very responsive. I've gotten nothing but good feedback from people that have used him. So use the link below, use him. Again, if you do, he'll send me a referral fee, just so you know. Stephalyn 21 asks, how can one build a home in DR without having to make so many trips or to be present? This is easy. I said it before, hire a great realtor, have them connect you with a great developer. Have that developer, after you've gotten you've chosen the developer, go get a great lawyer. I can connect you with all of those. There's a connection to Boardwalk down below, who I'm investing with. If you want to go right to the developer. Boardwalk is run by an absolute highly reputable real estate agent owner down here named Cheryl Henderson. Use Boardwalk. Use my lawyer, use the realtors. You get those pieces together and you're gonna significantly reduce the need for you to be on top of it. That said, if you have family members or friends or whatever that you can every so often have them go by and just check it out, make sure things are good, especially toward the end when they're finishing. Are the doors the way they're supposed to be? Are the electrical outlets in the right places? Are there enough of them? All that stuff. You want to know that. So I would say if you've got somebody that can go do it, maybe you can pay your lawyer to do it, spend a little money, go do that. Earlier on when they're laying out the floor plan as well, that's the other checkpoint to make sure that it meets the dimensions that you were promised. So a couple of checkpoints along the way no matter what, but great attorney, great developer, great realtor, and you're gonna be way less chance that you're going to have an issue not being here. Yadi319 asks, do you think investing in Cabarete real estate is a good move? I do. I think Cabarete is amazing. I think there's a ton of upside there. The beach up there is unique. It's a great surfers beach, windsurfing beach, kite surfing beach. And with Punta Bergantin coming up in Puerto Plata, which is a massive project with a big like Hollywood studio and all this stuff, that area is getting a refresh. It's getting like a polish, if you will. It's a little dated, and Cabarete will directly benefit from that. Brian Wakefield, what's up, buddy? Do you think it's better to buy a lot on a development site or standalone? All right, so here's the deal. Here's the order, 1 to 3, of the least risky to most risky way to buy, the best to worst. Number 1, buying something that's already completed. To buy a house that's already done, that's the best, less risky thing, in my opinion, to do. The second is buying land that you then develop yourself. You hire the developer, you build a house, you build the property by yourself. Third is pre-construction. That's the best, least risky, smartest way to invest. The in-place construction, already done resale, like we were talking about before. Second would be land that you develop. Third is pre-construction. However, the easiest way reverses. The easiest thing is to buy pre-construction and finance directly with the developer. So that's why a lot of people do it. It's just the burden is much lower. The second easiest way is to buy land, because you could probably buy it cash depending on where you're buying, or you could even, if there's a developer that owns the land, you could even finance with that developer. And then the least easy, the hardest way is to buy resale. The reason for that is to get unless you're buying cash, to get a mortgage for a property requires 30% down. It's usually a 20-year amortization. The rate is fixed for anywhere from 1 to 5 years, and then it floats. Rates in US dollars are sub 10%. Rates in pesos are like 12, 13, 15, 18%. So if you get it in US dollars, you can get a lower rate, but it might be locked for a year or 2 years or 3 years. And depending on how long you want it locked, it will tell you the lower the rate. So if you want it locked for 1 year, you'll get a really good rate, the best rate you can get. If you want it locked for 5, they're gonna charge you more, but then you have only 15 more years of amortization. So it's not like the US. And when they do go through and scrutinize your stuff, man, like banks can be a pain in the ass. So it's the hardest, highest barrier, which makes it probably the best in many ways. I always believe in that. Like the harder it is to do something, the better it is overall as far as an investment. But that's the order from my perspective. All right, let's talk about schools. I've got a few questions on that. First one from NDRWGA. Hey, Jamie, are you familiar with the good school systems outside of Punta Cana? Oh, for sure. In Santo Domingo, there's 2 that jump to mind. There's Carol Morgan, which is legendary, beautiful, amazing school. And there's the Ashton School. Those 2 at least. There's more in Santo Domingo, and others can drop them down below. But those 2 schools alone are excellent, excellent schools. Up on the North Shore in Cabarete is Sosua International School, which I've heard very, very good things about. And there's another school up there whose name escapes me. I'm sure there's schools in Santiago, but who wants to live in Santiago? Right? Right? Am I right? Why would you go there? I'm kidding. Cálmate. Tranquilo. Okay? Este Christi. That is the 3rd Este Christi question. Best junior high schools in Punta Cana. Well, there's like 4, I think. PCIS, Punta Cana International, good school. They've got a junior high. Heritage School, good school, junior high. Massimo Potencial is a good school, but their whole school, they don't have a campus. So, or not yet at least. Good school. They actually do their graduations in the United States. All of these are US accredited, by the way. But that is an option. That's in Punta Cana Village. You've got Bávaro Bilingual. Good school. They've got a junior high school. And then now that you have Ashton School moving in, the one I just mentioned over in Santo Domingo, they're building a campus inside of Vista Cana with a really, really nice campus, to be honest with you. I just went and checked it out recently. As we consider, is that the school we want to go to? Because we're in an alternative school for our kids and we feel like they may be growing out of it. So I think those are all of them. PCIS, Heritage, Bávaro Bilingual, Ashton, Massimo Potencial, maybe Bávaro Innovation. I think they have a junior high in there. They're all good. They're all very good as far as bilingual international schools, all US accredited. All right, we're gonna wrap up with a few miscellaneous questions here. The first one comes from Itzulailah, something like that. What made you live in DR? If you follow my channel, I've told this story, so I'm gonna be short with it. If you're new to the channel, thank you, subscribe, and I'll give you a little bit of context on this. My wife's Dominican. She grew up here to the age of 12, moved to the United States. We met each other when she was 24 and I was 30. Because I like the young ones. Like within age. Good age though. That's weird. That was weird, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a little weird. You get my point. So we met in Boston, where she grew up, at work, and we started dating. We were married 1.5 years later. So we moved pretty quick because I knew if I let her think too much, she would never. She would never. Look at that. Look, put up a pic. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. Flash forward, we have kids, my career progresses, it moves me around, I'm making a bunch of money. 400 grand as a corporate executive with Progressive Insurance. Top guy in the company. I did really, really well, but hated it. I leave in 2021 after a lot of pomp and circumstance on my end, a lot of work. And again, I said earlier, we had this dream of like, we can go anywhere. So we thought about 1 year later, after I quit, I'm like, all right, we're not gonna go broke. I'm good. I've actually built something here that we're good with. We said, where do we wanna go? And it was like, well, we could go to Portugal. We can go across to Europe. We can go somewhere in South America. We can go somewhere in the country. We can go wherever we want, in the United States, I mean. And then it was like, well, why don't we go to DR for a month? And we did in January of 2022. And when we saw my kids playing with their little cousins that they didn't speak the same language. My kids spoke no Spanish before moving here. Then yeah, we were like, my wife and I, in like the same moment, we're like, we should do this for a while. 8 months later, 7 months later, in August of 2022, we moved down here and we're approaching our 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years that we've been here at this point. So that's it. The plan was to come for 1 year, but we stayed. It was nice to come someplace where we had in-laws, family, infrastructure, and knowledge of the area. And my wife knows it, obviously, having grown up here till the age of 12. So that's why. And we've loved it. Got another toll booth. What, 700 pesos? I think the total tolls between Punta Cana and Jarabacoa? I think it's 700, right? I've lost count.
Here's 100.
Yeah, Waze, I think, said it's 700, so. Jay-Z Design or Jazzy Design asks, Why only animal products? Oh, jazzy. So I love this. People follow. Over on Instagram, I've been sharing on my stories. I share my day-to-day life, and I am a carnivore. I'm doing the carnivore diet, or I am a carnivore. I'm not doing the diet. I'm just on it forever, as long as I feel like it, I should say. I don't have like a 30-day or 60-day. It's a lifestyle for me at this point. So carnivore, I'm doing, and for a few different reasons. I've done it before, twice, and I got great results. Lost weight, felt better, brain fog gone, more productive, energy's up, building more muscle and all of that. And I kind of got into this funk of like, I'll have a piece of cake, I'll eat sugar, I'll do these things. I didn't feel very good. The only reason I dropped off of carnivore in the past was I was afraid my cholesterol was going up, and it was going up. I've learned a lot about cholesterol. I do have another video coming out talking about carnivore, NDR, meats, all of that, but also how I learned that I don't really care what my cholesterol is. Ooh, controversial for some, but wait till you see it. But anyway, it's an elimination diet. It's a whole food diet. I hate vegetables almost as much as I hate golf. I'll eat a vegetable before I'll play golf, but I hate vegetables. Never liked them, never. I like fruits, I like other things, not vegetables. So for me, if I had to choose an elimination diet and go all in on something, I could eat meat all the time. So my standard diet right now is about 4 eggs for breakfast, ribeye or churrasco for lunch, ribeye or churrasco for dinner. And then if I supplement it, maybe a little bit of cheese, and then I kind of balance it. And look, I'm not like some vegans, sorry vegans, but you get a little stupid with your activism, with your, I'm not that guy with carnivore. It's working for me. If it doesn't work, or if I tweak and it doesn't work, like maybe I need to eat more chicken or more fish or less butter or less cheese, whatever. If it doesn't work, then I'll modify it. And I don't see me never ever eating anything other than meat and eggs or whatever, but I do see me committing to this as the core of what I do and how I eat and what I have. It works for me. That's it. It works for me. Martha Marr. I met Martha and her husband. Say hi to the family for me at a mixer I hosted in Blue Mall in Punta Cana. So glad to hear from you. It was amazing getting to know you. Tickets from Newark to Punta Cana are expensive. Well, Martha, I disagree. So I went online and I looked at ticket prices from Newark to Punta Cana and back, round trip. In the week, I think it was like March 16th to March 23rd. I sent this to Martha, so she already has this information. I think she already booked a flight down here for that week. And they were like $388 round trip. For context, I looked at a bunch of other places. I looked at Miami, I looked at New Orleans, I looked at Las Vegas, I looked at Montego Bay, I looked at San Juan, and they were all like, Miami was the cheapest, like 150. Then it went up to like 550 for Montego Bay and I think Vegas. So the range on it was kind of that. But to me, 388, I mean, that's $600 for two people, $700 for two people. It's a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But in the pantheon, in the that's not the word, in the whatever of flights, to me that's not that expensive for a round trip flight from New Jersey all the way down to Punta Cana and back, considering the international fees and taxes that Dominican Republic puts on flights. So I just think you have to look, and there's so many more options coming online with the Open Skies Agreement. There's so many more things happening in that regard. You got to check it out. But to me, I hope that price wasn't too bad for you, Martha, and I'm glad you're coming down. Thrifty Travel asks, what do you recommend other than content itself the most to start a channel? This is a great question, and I actually spoke to the Miami ad school here in Punta Cana specifically on how to create your brand and grow it using YouTube. And I'm gonna drop that video right here for you so you can take a look at it. It's a little longer, it's a little niche. It specifically speaks to business in DR, but anybody that wants to grow a YouTube channel, that's my advice for you. Subscribe, like, comment. I'll see you on the next one.